as a country with reserves depend of its national oil company, depend of Pemex. Venezuela used to depend of PDVSA, and Argentina used to depend on its national company. Brazil also. So those countries that has reserves, they will keep strong the national company. So Mexico is not different. So the second situation is that that company, meaning to say Pemex, is not increasing production. Looks like a Pemex reach, the highest production they could have with the current reserves they have. That means that they probably won't change the trend. And if they change the trend, will be to diminish production, not to increase production. So they closed the year with 1.7 million, close to, and I think they will be in that neighborhood. I don't think that they will increase to even 1.8 million. The third point is Mexico has a great opportunity because they have more than 30 international companies working in Mexico. Mm-hmm. And if we look at the number of those companies, they produced by the end of 2021 around 70,000 barrels per day. You could say it's not so much for companies that have been here since 2015. Yeah. But we have to recognize that I would say a lot of these companies, or many of these companies, decided to explore. And the exploration process will take between 5 and 7 to 8 years. Other companies, and I think those are the ones that are the principal producer, they went to areas of production. They didn't do necessarily exploration. They could do exploration to increase, but not necessarily to producing, to have initial production. So that work will have results with the years to come, including this year. And I was reviewing several reports of the different companies, and I think by the end of the year, those companies could produce close to 170,000 barrels per day. So here we have a big opportunity. So if Mexico can take those two opportunities, for sure, will take advantage of the future. Yeah, I think this is a great opportunity for the country. I would say that the first thing is to understand the digital development and opportunities, not only for the oil industry, but for the manufacturing in general. Although the private sector has been doing some development in the manufacturing process, I think still they have a space to keep improving. Why? Because technology changes so fast in the digital world. The other point is that the E&P area has to be understood also for Pemex, as well as for some of the other companies. I know that big majors have an organization dedicated to understand and then develop whatever technology they could need based on that process of understanding, and analysis. So Mexico have to understand that the value chain or the supply chain is along not only the E&P, but also the oil value chain, including the up and downstream. But one of the things that we said is important, and a good practical example for Mexico right now is to take advantage of the automation, digital system, and data transmission to control, to increase the security of the pipeline transmission. Why? Because, this huachicoleo, as they call the oil theft, hasn't been controlled. And I'm pretty sure that by using digital system and technology, specifically drone technology, it will help to reduce a lot this situation. So it is a very practical situation for them. The other situation is to understand what we call the digital fields. And the digital fields could give two solutions only to chemicals, to some of the company. First, make easy to handling and managing those reservoir and fields that are far away offshore and also onshore. And that will reduce also the cost. And try to initiate that with a small, I would say, mature or declining reservoir. Because the technology to understand the subsurface and the reservoir now could give them the chance to rediscover opportunities that will increase the production of the field. The chances of developing gas internally, which will help not only with the cash flow, let's say, because they have to pay for the import of gas that right now represent about 50% of the consumption of the gas in Mexico. So they have the opportunity to develop the gas. One of the examples is the Lacache project, which was closed when this administration arrived, and even have a lot of material by it. So that reservoir of gas, I think is the first opportunity that Pemex as of the country have to learn how to deal with gas, which is totally different to deal with oil. And that's a very important point. So the country had the opportunity to develop that part, and I would say some of the companies that are in the country have the knowledge, competence, and also the money to help us to develop this important part of the country. So Mexico should make the effort to also develop clean strategies, because what we heard so far on the media and with some of the government speakers or representatives is that they will increase all the time the fossil fuels for the generation of power. Mexico have to understand that if they use the gas, and that's the reason I mentioned the gas, that will be an excellent transition for them and give them, I would say, the space to prepare to comply with the agreement of the COP26 of Oaxaca. we saw the opportunities to expand, to extend our core business, because until last year, we were dedicated only to exploration and production. And now we put one X in our logo. So now we are CBMX. And that X is very interesting because it means all the downstream and anything else that could be required for the energy sector in Mexico. So that's the reason of the X. So we want to be players in the downstream, not necessarily in the construction, is underway, and I have a lot of company working in there. But I would say in the process, we have put together a very interesting thing with a lot of experienced people in the refining process that I will detonate in the right time to offer the service to the refining area. I already talked to the IMP about this particular area because the IMP, they have a very strong area of downstream. So I think I can refresh that area with different knowledge, new knowledge, and we may have the opportunity with them to work ahead in the refining process in Mexico. So that's one area. And the other area had to do with this energy transition. You know, when you talk about energy transition, and you ask me or you ask 10 people, each people could have one understanding or one definition. But I think that is important. But what is more important is based upon the understanding and definition of the institutions, of the companies, is to develop the strategy that have a point where to get, and also the activities under the plan that you need to do in order to get there. And I would say this is not a one-year plan. This is kind of business plan. The oil industry is not a short-time project, it's a long-time project. So the business plan has to be a long-time business plan. Normally, it takes about 10 years to develop a business plan. Nevertheless, CBMX will be also trying to do the best to keep helping this country. CBM was born in this country, and since my arrival, I received a lot of opportunities, especially with Pemex in that moment. So I feel committed with this country to keep helping the country in this new challenge that the country has, meaning to say, understand the energy transition and do the plan and take the decision, the right decision, in order to accomplish every time what the plan establishes as the goal. So I hope I can do it.